Hello community, this is Wise, and I want to welcome you to the Wise Gaming Community channel. This is where we provide digital tools, insights, and experiences through our collaborations and delivery of ready-to-use, immersive, engaging, inspirational, and community-centered content. Today is the last day of June 2025, and we're going to be looking at the cornerstone of release 25.2. But before we do that, I want to give you a spoiler warning. This release will showcase Chapter 10 of the Abomination Vaults, written by Stephen Ratty McFarland, and adapted cartography from Rob Lazzaretti. If you plan to be a player of this adventure, you should stop watching now. Finally, while this content is compatible with Paizo's Abomination Vaults Chapter 10, it's not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo or any publisher, and is able to be used for any adventure in part or whole. So with that, let's jump in. Alright, kicking us off, I'm going to start with just giving you an overview of what to kind of expect. So here you kind of see the temple, which is the 10th floor in the Abomination Vaults. The pack will include the farm and the hunt. There's a reason I started with this that will come out later this month. But you get to dive right into this. All of what you're going to see is provided as tiles, so it's not like a set map. You can reuse these tiles in other adventures or kind of build pieces of it, maybe for particular dungeons that you want to make, whether those are for Pathfinder or some other role-playing game. So see a couple scenes here. As normal, there is going to be a full overview of what's included. I always give like a setup in terms of like here's the whole map with the different kind of lighting effects and room numbers. It's a 50 by 75. It's got 3 levels as you see. So the ground level 0. This is a design change I started making, so when you drop your tokens in, they just kind of default to level 0. And then you can go down 10 feet into this teleportation portal here in J5. This happens automatically. I'll show you that in just a moment. And then J15 is a manual change. It works with or without the elevation change, but if you want to give them kind of a sense of being down farther, you can manually adjust that. There's just too many points of entry for this. I didn't want to make it a big deal. But they are at different levels to provide the different dimensions of the playable space. As normal, there is a backpack tile that I drop on the starting. The players cannot see this. So if you already have a map for the hunt, this is where the players will come up into this stairwell here. I'll begin the demo there in just a moment. Weather's off. There's grid lines that are on the scene. If you want to remove those, you certainly can. I always leave fog of war exploration off, particularly in areas where I don't think player characters would have a good sense of direction or a sense of their space. If you as a GM prefer to have that on, just toggle that on under the scene configurations. All the lights are toggled on. When we get to this J15 area, you'll notice I've got on this puzzle red lights as indicators of it being off. The handlebars are also switched, toggled off. These are all active tiles, so you can kind of toggle these either way. This is manual. I don't have the automation for this set up in the Plus pack. It will be in the Premium pack. But these can be flipped to green. I'll show you that in a moment just as a GM. If you are running the puzzle, if you're not running the puzzle, you can kind of ignore that component. The hazards all through J10, 11, and 12. The lights are set on. If you want to turn them off, you can certainly toggle those off. But these are to give the players a sense of the visions and illusions that they are seeing. There are lighting effects that I'm using in the swamp water, but it is contained with certain types of walls that I use for that. So that's kind of the light setup. all the doors in here, this is currently on version 12. I'm waiting till Iron Monk has the version 13 up for all my mats, and then I will move to version 13. But I've set all the door pieces up as individual pieces. This should work with V13 just fine. So if you want to do the work to get these on as automatic doors, you can do that in V13. When I update this for V13, I will do those as well. But you can use the toggle with multi-face tiles. I'll show you that in a moment. So every single one of these doors is openable visually. I talked about the stairs, and there's no item puzzles in here. It's pretty basic. Feel free to kind of use or not use parts of this map. As far as acknowledgements and stuff, obviously I want to call out Paizo's great Abomination vaults. You can pick and purchase that here. This goes right to the VTT compatible version. I do not include any content for Abomination vaults in here, as that's under separate licensing. I just provide some remastered maps. All of my assets are from Bailey Wiki and or custom assets I have created myself. You can get more content from Bailey Wiki at these links here. I'm using 4 modules from Ripper. They're all free. I'm using levels, better roofs, tile scroll, and wall height. I am using multi-face tiles by Freeze, mostly for the doors. There's a puzzle that has some of those toggleable switches as well. And then there's some token magic effects in the last room by Secret Fire. The only other thing that I'd like to call out is I've put out a few version upgrades on this. I'm showing just the updated version of this to my customers, but in the original pack it came with 1 playable scene. Like I said, it will eventually have 3. There's some custom item assets. I've included 15 web M files. I don't normally give animated files in a plus pack, so this is kind of a special promo that I'm doing. Again, we'll reveal some more later this month as to kind of why we went this direction with Abomination Vaults. We will be going back and doing the other maps, but with that, let me just give you a quick view of the puzzle solution. So the actual adventure path does not provide the solution. It's not difficult to figure out, but I figured like GMs have enough work to do. So I did put one possible solution. There's of course maybe other ways to do this, but I've given kind of a 5-step walkthrough if you want to run the puzzle. Of course you can do this section of the trial without doing the puzzle as well. And then as always, I do provide the templates. This is using some of the CSS from Abomination Vaults, but I create some kind of custom pages that I like to use. I don't provide in the Plus pack these fully blown out as alternatives to the content in the licensed material, but I do those in the premiums. But if you like the CSS, you can certainly come in here and use it. You can also just edit it or remove stuff as you like. So with that, let's take a look at this. Let me show you here real quick before I go into there. You can get, like I said, all of these tiles, all of the scenes that you are seeing are individual tiles in this particular build. There's not a scene that's kind of provided. Here's all the WebM files that I have. Here's the overheads, and then here's the prefabs. I do have some of the pieces, like the bigger ones, under the maps, but again, you can see they're just larger sections. All right, let's take a look at this. I'm going to zoom in here to this player token. So you can see, as normal, I've got some overhead tiles, so it gives a little bit of depth to the player tokens. All of these walls here have been created to demonstrate some kind of vertical immersion. These are all custom created by myself using Bailey's assets. I'll probably put out a tutorial later of kind of how to do this to give a little bit of a sense of depth to the wall spaces. All right, so here's an example of like a moving door. So if you want to like toggle this, you just right click on the actual tile door. So this is the closed state, here's the open state, and all the doors do that. Here you kind of see in this first room, we've got this nice big space in here. A couple things kind of going on. We got these inlay tile work that has been done. We got some vine patterns, like some dead swampy vines. We've got this custom artwork that I've created to put on here, and then you've got this nice WebM file. I won't give away like what this actually is in the adventure, but there's like a nice little animating kind of swamp water thing here. All the tiles over here are also overhead, so if the players explore the pipes, you can see they can kind of walk under them. I believe those are all closed in this room in the adventure path. These doors, of course, start locked, but you know, if you permit them go here, again, these can be opened. Again, these ones are doubles, but I think the players go this direction first, so we'll kind of walk over here. You can see the nice overhead pass through, kind of gives them again a sense of coming to a new space. Some new custom patterns that I created in Dungeondraft. I might make these available later, but they're kit bash using some of Bailey Wiki's assets here. And kind of coming into this nice space. All of these walls too, creating some kind of vertical sense of depth here. It's kind of nice. And then I'll pull back here a little bit so you can kind of see this nice cool like altar temple kind of area. And then you got some arrow slits here kind of on the side that are proximity based, so the character has to kind of walk a little bit closer to them to notice them. And then you get some door options here, so they can kind of come back here, and you get use of the arrow slits, but you can also see some nice like again isometric views of the rock patterns back here. And I'll start by going kind of north. First I'll go up here. And again, double doors, so if you want to, again, like also as a GM, as they open the doors, all of these, you know, toggle open and close. Again, I'll automate these in V13. And then you've got some just nice overhead work. So player tokens can come into these cave. There's some stuff for them to do in here in the adventure, but all of the space is walkable. Gives them a kind of a sense of depth. Some devices to kind of investigate. And again, like this is all like overhead, so it just gives them again a good sense of walking in a really defined space. All right, so they make their way over here to the end. Again, these are all double doors too. I think these ones I have as opening singly in case they want to use those for cover. But again, you got some animated here, and you can see created some like depth again on these walls, and you can see a little bit of like lip I'm kind of building up just to give the eye a sense that you're kind of in this recessed space. All right, so let's head south back through these doors. All right, and so I put out a separate video this week, but here is the actual room. This is, I think, where they incinerate things that don't make it, but you can see this nice bit of chain players can walk under. There are 4, I think, large creatures that you encounter in this space. Given the original map, I just felt like it wasn't really a design choice to make it 4 large creatures and then at least 4 player tokens, maybe, you know, some groups run with 6, but that was a lot of tokens to get into space where basically they can't move. And the fun stuff about this is maybe you get kind of cornered or pushed. Maybe you have to climb out. Like maybe, I mean, this room already has some environmental hazards, but the GMs can kind of have a little bit of fun with this space. But you got some animation kind of going on in here and some great effects by Gorgon and others. Got some doors here. Here's the elevation bit for the stairs. So this, I think this is the only locked door that the players can actually unlock themselves. You see the elevation changes from Ripper's levels down here. They can investigate this teleportation room if they choose. And then this is like a washroom. There's a discoverable secret door. This just kind of goes back out to this room we've already been in. If they find this secret door, this actually does rotate too. It's kind of fun. This one I have twisting. So if you like that kind of demonstration for the players, that the bathtub kind of twirls around. Got a little bit more isometric view kind of going through here, and then it's kind of on the nose a bit, I think, in the adventure how they have this, but there is obviously a discoverable secret door. Maybe the players don't know exactly where it's at, but you can kind of get to it here. And then when they walk into this space, I've got certain walls in here that help these kind of illusions stay in the space, providing just the described amount of walking space through here. I think this is like a happy room. There is another secret door here. I'm going to quickly go down here. This is a way to kind of bypass the second hazard. You can see the spider webs again from Bailiwiki are overhead in here. And this is a way to get to the third space. We'll walk through the whole thing. So if the players survive this hazard, I think it's pretty brutal actually in the adventure. You can see there's like a resting space here, I think it's described, before they dive into this third one. I believe that this door at the very end is also a secret door. Yep. And so they have to be able to find this, and then they get a little break in here. I made this space a little bit slightly different just because I had some of the room from how I created the other rooms, but it serves the same purpose. There's no encounters in here, and then they can walk into this space. I did put some stairs. They don't change the elevation, but the reason for this is in the adventure path, it says the swamp, depending on where they enter it, the fall is at different heights. So just as I was thinking through that, you could make the swamp kind of, I guess, deeper in different parts to account for the drop, but it made more sense to me that they're kind of going further down a little bit. So it's like a couple stairwells down. That's how I thought through it. Again, elevation in this room, all the same stuff that we've seen. And then they kind of get to this place where they have to make a choice. There is a way to, I think, get into one of these pipes and go down the swamp. But then they could choose to try to break this down. And so I've got this tile also set up. So maybe they do a little damage and it cracks. Maybe they destroy it and it kind of breaks up. So kind of fun aspect there. I'm going to pop this guy over. I don't have an automatic door set for these. That's something I might do in the future, but I think one of these that they can actually open and then kind of travel down. But basically, you can drop out down here. And then this is where the puzzle is. So they may notice down here that there might be a way up if they can figure out how to open this thing, which leads them kind of to the puzzle here with the boxes. All of these tiles here are also set as individual. You may have to go to actually the tile sort option. And so most of the things I have are at the top. These ones are kind of on a different level. So here they are. So there you go. So you can kind of click these and then you can toggle them a different direction. And the light, if you want to change it to kind of track if you're running the puzzle, you can just turn this one off and turn this one on, and then you can see it turns to green. Just like that. Alright. So you can see they're coming through the swamp here. And the final area over here. And there might be some areas maybe they can climb up on some of this to kind of get out. These are areas where they interact with these bits. Again, those will be automated in the premium version, but in here you can just do the narrative play with the players as the GM. So if they solve the puzzle and survive the encounters that are here, then they eventually make their way up here. And this particular area is set up so that there's like a terrain, because this is a pretty large growth out in here. There is an encounter. It's described in the adventure in this space if you leave it in. But this is kind of where the water is flowing out, so they might decide to go through either of these doors. They go into the same space. And again, these doors also all toggleable, so they open up. These ones open up kind of together. And here we're on the other side of this threshold. This is the same place, so they can kind of cross this river. But if they break down this stone barrier, you can kind of see the design work all in here. And then this was kind of fun. This took me a while to kind of do, but this is, I made this step up. It's described as like teeth or like jaws as they kind of step up to this altar of this giant skull. I've got the terrain brush on this. I might adjust some of those walls, but you can kind of get a sense of the space. They can come behind here. Some GMs may take this this encounter out, but there's like a secret door back here. I'm just going to scroll out, but this you can see the nice terrain from Bailey Wiki that I've made use of. I'll do a design video on this too. Some of these paths can be really tricky on how to work with, and I have a couple tricks on how I get the curves to work nicely for these. I've made all the walking smooth, so it's should be pretty intuitive of how players get moved through this space and not get too stuck. And then there's something they can kind of discover down here. Maybe you do something extra over here than what's in the book, but or you can, again, take this out and put it in some other adventure. All right, let's get to the last room. So this room was a ton of fun. This took me, a couple days to design. I put a lot of work and thought into this. I'd love some feedback or comments, like if you guys do other things or there's something else you'd like to see in the space other than what's described in the book. But let's take a peek. So this is the culminating fight with Abomination vaults, and you see as you walk in here, you got these 4 swamp areas, and there's a little bit of animation kind of going on. The water's flowing down. Where is it going? And then all of these are overhead tiles too. The book describes these spaces as areas to get line of sight, to force the players to move around. And so that is designed in here, but I did it so that the walls are generally easy and intuitive to get into. So they do have to cross across these paths to get in here, except in the back. I believe that's the same in Rob's version of cartography. There's a little altar here described in the book. The lens is topped up here. You can see the 7 streams coming in to feed it. And there's more puddles here in the back. So with that, I'm going to unclick this guy. I'm going to pull back and light this place up as a GM so you can kind of see the whole space. But there you go. Level 10 Abomination Vaults. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching the release video. I'm going to be doing some retro release videos. Been pretty tardy on doing that in the past, but I think it's a great way for folks to engage and kind of provide feedback. Love to hear from you. You can find any of this content on Foundry VTT Marketplace. You can also get it on my Ko-fi. And as of last month, you can subscribe to exclusive content on Patreon. I don't sell my maps on there, but you can get membership to get exclusive content on Patreon. So with that, this is Wise, signing off.